The cold is a chisel, and it is carving the world down to bone. Here, in the shadow of a glacier that groans in its sleep, the fire is the only heart that beats with warmth. Around it, the clan huddles, wrapped in stiff hides that smell of wood smoke and old blood, carcasses of reindeer, the great prize of their last hunt, hang from the low branches of skeletal pines, frozen solid. There is meat, an abundance of it. And yet, there is a deep and profound hunger that gnaws at them from the inside. A sickness follows the food. It begins in the gut, a watery fire that leaves them weak. Their bodies rejecting the very sustenance they fought so hard to win. Their muscles, once scorded and strong from a life of pursuit, now feel strangely hollow. This is the cruel paradox of a successful hunt in the deep winter of the Paleolithic, a bounty of lean flesh, stripped of the life-giving fat that the cold demands. They are succumbing to protein-lipid malnutrition, a slow starvation on a full stomach, the concept for which they have no name, only a creeping, innovating dread. Beyond the ring of sputtering light, the darkness is eyes, yellow, hungry, and patient. A pack of wolves, gaunt and desperate, haunts the edges of their camp. They are drawn by the same scent of blood and meat that should signify life for the clan, but is instead becoming a curse. The hunters, led by Kale, stand guard in shifts. Kale's face is a mask of frustration, his spear a familiar weight in his hand. He sees the wolves as a straightforward threat, a problem to be solved with a well-aimed stone or a sudden charge. Every night, the ritual is the same. A wolf pants too close, the shadow detaching itself from the greater dark, and a brand is snatched from the fire, hurled through the air in a shower of sparks. The wolf retreats, but never fall. The pack is a starving mirror, a reflection of their own hidden decay. This is the delicate, exhausting dance of prehistoric life, a constant negotiation with a world that wants to consume you. An old woman, Naro, watches not the wolves, but the people. She sees the listlessness in the children, the way the hunters favor their aching joints. Her gaze lingers on the discarded bones and sinew, the lean strips of meat they can no longer stomach, tossed to the edge of the camp where they freeze into uselessness. Her mind, a storehouse of seasons and sorrows, is turning over a different kind of problem. It is not one of spear against fang. It is a puzzle of surpluses and deficiencies, of two hungers pressing in on this one small point of light. The howl of a wolf slices through the wind, not a cry of aggression, but a long, mournful note of want. It is a sound the clan knows well. It is the sound of their own bellies, a shared language of emptiness spoken across the boundary of species. Cal grips his spear tighter, his knuckles white. The eyes in the darkness watch him, unblinking, waiting for the sickness to do their work for them. The standoff cannot hold. The sickness deepens its grip, and the wolves, driven by the madness of starvation, grow bolder. Mara rises, her movements slow but deliberate, each step a testament to a life spent weathering impossibilities. She ignores Kayle's sharp, protective gesture. She walks not towards the wolves, but to the pile of frozen, discarded meat, the source of their paradoxical misery. She picks up a dark, sinewy piece of reindeer flank. In the firelight, her face is a map of ancient knowledge, and she speaks, her voice raspy like dried leaves skittering over stone. She does not command, she observes. They suffer the hunger we cannot cure, she says, her gaze sweeping from the pale, listless children to the gleaming eyes in the dark, and we suffer from the surplus they crave. Kale shakes his head, his hand tightening on his spear. We feed them, we show them we are weak. They will be in the camp by dawn. It is the hunter's logic, the simple and brutal calculus of predator and competitor that has governed human evolution for 1,000,000 years. Several others grunt in agreement, the fear of the wolf a lesson carved into their bones. But Mara's argument is not about strength or weakness. It is about changing the shape of the world. Their hunger is a sharp stone. She continues, her voice unwavering. We can let it cut us, or we can use it to carve a new path. She holds up the meat, This is not food for them. It is a message. A long silence stretches, broken only by the hiss of the fire and the low growl of the wind. The clan is caught between two fears: the known threat of the starving pack and the unknown consequence of this radical act. It is an evolutionary crossroad, a choice that requires a leap of imagination. Finally, with a weary sigh that is part surrender and part trust, Kale takes the meat from her hand. He walks to the very edge of the firelight, the point where the world of man meets the world of the beast. He does not throw it as a challenge. He places it carefully on a snow-dusted stone, a deliberate offering. Then he steps back, his spear held ready, his body a coiled spring of tension. For a moment, nothing moves. The world seems to hold its breath. Then, a large male, the Pact's alpha, detaches itself from the shadows. It does not rush. It flows over the ground, a grey phantom, belly low, every sense screaming. The clan watches, a collective statue of petrified awe. The wolf reaches the stone. It sniffs the air, then the offering, its gaze flicking from the strange gift to the silent, the prayed figures by the fire. This is a moment of profound behavioral plasticity, a deviation from the ancient script of fear and violence. With a sudden, decisive snap, its jaws take the meat. It does not linger. It melts back into the darkness, a shadow reclaiming its prize. The siege is broken. The nightly war of attrition has been replaced by a tense, fragile negotiation. This is not a truce born of friendship, but of mutual, calculated desperation. The beginning of a radical and precise interaction that will echo for ages. The nights that follow are different. A strange new rhythm establishes itself in the deep cold of this Paleolithic winter. The offering of meat is no longer a moment of crisis, but a ritual. Kale, or another hunter, places the frozen surplus on the stone, and the wolves come forward, one by one, to take their share before retreating to the security of the dark. The clan's sickness begins to recede as they hoard and consume what little fat they can render, no longer wasting energy on a nightly defense. The wolves, for their part, regain a shadow of their former strength. They are no longer starving competitors but a paid garrison, a buffer of fangs and senses patrolling the perimeter of the camp. They are a living fence built of hunger, maintained by a calculated offering. It is a fragile, unspoken contract, a nascent symbiotic relationship born not of affection, but of necessity. Then, one night, the world goes silent. The wind dies. The gnawing of the frost is the only sound. The wolves, who had been resting just beyond the light, rise as one. But their attention is not on the camp. It is outward, toward the monolithic darkness of the surrounding pines. A low growl rumbles through the pack, a sound deeper and more threatening than any noise the clan has heard from them before. It is not the sound of hunger, but of fear. At warning, Kale is on his feet in an instant, the old instincts of ancient humans firing. His eyes follow the wolves' rigid stare. He sees nothing, but he feels it, a pressure in the air, a concentration of predatory will. The children are pulled tighter into the fold, their faces buried in their mother's furs. The clan's advanced survival skills are now being augmented by an entirely different set of senses. 2 points of green fire ignite in the blackness, far beyond the reach of their own firelight. They are too wide apart, too high off the ground, to be a wolf. The air crackles. The great cave lion, a beast of nightmare and legend, has come. It is drawn by the same scent of meat that brought the wolves, but it holds no patience for negotiation. It is an apex predator, the undisputed master of this frozen world. Alone, the weakened clan would be a massacre waiting to happen. But they are not alone. The wolves do not run. They form a bristling line, a living wall of teeth and fur. Their howls now shut, aggressive barks that stab at the oppressive silence. Kale understands. He raises his spear not to attack, but to signal. The hunters grab burning branches from the fire, creating a constellation of defiant light, shouting into the void, adding their human fury to the canine warning. The lion hesitates. It sees not a small, sick band of hominids, but a formidable, snarling alliance. The cost of a meal has just become too high. After a long, tense moment, the green eyes blink and vanish. The pressure lifts. Kale looks toward the alpha wolf, whose growl is slowly subsiding. There is no warmth in the creature's gaze, only a shared, lingering spark of savage victory. The pact, written in mate, has just been sealed in fire and fear. We pull back from the sputtering fire, leaving the clan and the walls to their fragile peace. We rise above the groaning glacier, and the curve of the ancient earth reveals a tapestry of such moments. Countless trials written in snow and stone. This single act of desperate, brilliant diplomacy was not an anomaly. It was a seed, a choice made in the depths of a Pleistocene winter that would alter the evolutionary trajectory of two species, forging the most enduring alliance in hominid history. The intelligence to see a competitor not as a rival to be killed, but as a problem to be solved. The foresight to sacrifice a useless surplus for a priceless alarm system. These were the mental tools that allowed our human ancestors to outthink extinction. That bond, first offered as a piece of frozen meat, echoes today in the loyal companion at our hearth. In the bark that warns of a stranger at the door, it is a living testament to the idea that sometimes the greatest strength is not in the sharpness of the spear, but in the wisdom to know when to put it down and offer a share of the kill. What other ancient pacts, what other bargains with the wild, are still resonating in the deepest chambers of our modern soul? This is the chronicler. We bear witness not to the kings and their crowns, but to the cold and the fire that forged the human heart. And so the pact held. But even the strongest alliance is tested when the long winter finally breaks, and the world thaws into a new and unfamiliar hunger.